Good morning, and welcome to Planet Leadville for Friday, July 3rd, 2026. It was a packed house in the Lake County High School auditorium for last night's community meeting, which saw several hundred of local residents in attendance and over 1,000 listening online to hear from management for the Willow Fire. To date, the blaze has burned 2,355 acres of remote forest land above Turquoise Lake located west of Leadville. As of this morning, the fire is at 0% containment. Most of the meeting focused on reviews of step-by-step procedures taken to date, as well as an assurance that the multi-agency incident is seeing successful collaboration and communication among partners, as well as the public at large. There was some new information relayed concerning conditions on the front line, fire activity, and questions regarding evacuation procedures. Here are the highlights from the meeting.
We are here for the Willow Fire community meeting. We're here to share some updates on the fire conditions, and then we'll take a quick Q&A at the end, and we'll have people available afterwards. And we'll talk about that schedule here in just a second.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Nick Castro. I'm one of the operations section chiefs with Southwest Area Team 4. Do we have the map that we can put up? So this is the current footprint we've got right now. I know it's hard for you all to see, so at the end I'll be in the back, so if anybody has any questions on the map you want to see up close, I can answer some questions. But when we arrived here, it was made very apparent to us what the values at risk were. Obviously, the community was the number one priority. That's where we continue to have the majority of our forces out there and concentrating our efforts on that community. One of the other values was those transmission lines. Those are important. Those feed a lot of people. The other value was Turquoise Lake and the Arkansas Basin Reservoir, right? The basin. Those were the values that we were given. Those are the major ones. And there's hundreds, thousands more out there that we're out there every day trying to identify. But those are the big ones, and those allowed us to plan our strategy for this incident. And so like I touched on, the community is our number one priority. That's where we have all the engines working, the crews are working over there. They're doing work around all those houses and structures. They're doing everything they can to exclude all the private land, to get it off private land so that we're not taking a whole lot of action and bringing fire onto private property if we can. So we're doing everything we can in that matter. They're going around and looking at all the structures out there, and they've put pumps on a lot of them. There's sprinklers run to most of them. I would believe they were going to finish up a lot of that operation closer to the lake area today. So all this community up here should be looking real good for structure protection. They've done a lot of saw work up there to clear away a lot of the debris, a lot of the vegetation that's around some of those structures. So they're doing a lot of work up there. We put in an order for 25 engines the first day we got here. And so we got fills on all those. Those are not all here yet, but they're en route. We had about 10 more engines that were on scene already. We've got a couple of hotshot crews that are working out there, and we've been getting some help from our cooperators. I believe we're going to get another one, which is going to be a huge help for us. And so to protect the lake and the basin, we're trying to figure out a way on this northwest corner to tie in that fire edge down to the lake. And so that's another one of our priorities. We've got the hotshot crews working over there. It's very steep. You guys are from this area. You know what that country looks like out there. It's a steep chunk of ground. It's not very favorable to us, but we're doing everything we can out there to try to find that route and get that fire line down to the lake edge. And so we can kind of try to hopefully corral this and keep that from spreading to the north. That being said, we don't want to ignore this stuff north of the lake either. So we've got people over there. They're doing structure assessments on all the values at risk that are to the north here. And we're also trying to identify any lines over there just in case we get spot fires across the lake, which Jim will talk about fire behavior. So we just want to make sure we've got all of our bases covered. We continue to look at any contingencies out here. Just in case our primary lines don't work, we've got a plan for coming out here to point protect any of the other structures out there. Moving down to the fish hatchery, We've done a lot of work around there. We've worked with them to remove a lot of those fish from the hatchery so that in the event that fire does come down there, the fish are saved. So we've been working with them on that. And I believe that those are all out of there. We've gotten all the structure protection done around the hatchery. That got finished up today. A lot of this country here, we were able to put dozer line in and exclude a lot of those houses like we were saying. So you guys might see some dozer line out there when you guys are eventually repopulated. But right now, the dozer line is out there to protect those structures, and that's what that's for. We're also trying to come in a little closer to the fire with some additional dozer lines that's coming up to that power line to try to cut off another trunk. So every time we get opportunities, we're trying to come in closer and closer. But that being said, we still have to plan for the outside just in case those interior options don't work. So we'll be continuing to do structure assessments down on the south end into that Halfmoon area just in case the fire spread continues to the south. So that's what we're doing down on the south end. We don't have a lot of people down there right now because we're not getting a lot of pressure down there. The focus right now is up here in the community where we see the greatest risk of spread. We want to make sure that we've got this all buttoned in up here. You guys have seen the last couple of days a little bit of increase. We've got 3 of those big Type 1 helicopters, we call them, but those are the big ones, like the Black Hawks. They're the ones that you guys see flying around out there. So they're using those up here because the fire's going underneath those big transmission lines that I was telling you about, and they're working those helicopters up there to keep the fire intensity down so that we're trying not to damage those transmission lines, right? So that's what those aircraft are doing up there. We're also going to be looking at using some drones to help us at night so that we can see where the fire edge is out there. They're able to take video, they can take infrared, so that's a really cool tool for us, especially in this fuel type. We get a lot of spot fires. You know, the fire, it burns up a tree and it throws embers out, and those can be really hard for us to find, but with the drone, with that infrared, they're able to fly out where we can't hike and they can find that stuff. So that's another tool that we just got in today. Really for operations, that's kind of it. We're focusing on the values at risk, right?
And our information, it will be updated throughout the fire, so you can use that to get all of the information that we've shared today and that we will share through the coming days. And with that, do I have my lovely assistant in the back? She's raising her hand. That's Ryan, one of our public information officers. So she'll be coming around with a microphone. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. And we'll direct it to the right person. We got one right back here.
Right behind me. We'll start in the back.
Hello.
For those of us in the pre-evacuation zone, let's say, hypothetically speaking, we have to evacuate. What does communication look like and what can we expect?
Thank you for that question. It's a great one. We will send out messaging through emergency alert systems. And so we'll make sure we hit everybody in that community through that. And then we're also going to get out there and start door knocking. We're going to assemble as many people as we can from surrounding counties. That request has already been put in place to have them there. We're going to go knock on your door. We have a system where we tag houses and make sure that we're accounting for everybody within that zone. Then there will be information given on where to go next, how to leave the area. And we're working on shelters also so we can have good direction for you guys. Does that answer your question?
So we have another question from our online listeners related to the evacuations. First question, why can we not use our state ID with our address on this to get back in?
So, excuse me. The easy answer there is that the salamander cards that we use, we actually input all of your information into a database. We have notes on who you are and then maybe your where you live, and that allows us to use that QR code specifically to identify you quickly, and the system that is in place, it does not work with your state ID. That's the short answer. Does that answer the question? Okay.
All right, so our next question related to the evacuations from one of our online listeners. I live on the edge of a pre-evacuation zone. Should I just stay like I'm in the pre-evacuation zone?
Yes, it is a great question. And we've received it on both sides of the line, which makes sense. We do have to draw some lines to help us with our organization. We do stretch those lines out into an area that we think is, if you're on the far edge of the line and you're within the pre-evacuation zone, please, yes, take it very seriously. If you're on the other side of the line, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider that also. We ask you to make that decision yourself and with the information that we have at hand. Every situation is going to be different. We will, again, like I mentioned earlier, we'll talk to these folks and see how fast is the fire moving. Do we need to immediately extend that out further? But we extended it out as far as we could. If we needed to start evacuating those zones, it gives us enough time to make sure that everybody is safe.
All right, we're going to move a little bit over to this side, and I think we have about time for 2 more questions. But again, we will have all of these folks available afterwards. And you can also reach our public information line. There's a phone number you can call and an email where you can send us questions. Believe me, this is not us trying to cut off this conversation. I live to give information for fire. That's my whole job. So we want to make sure we get that information, but we do have to get our folks back so we can keep fighting the fire. So we'll get 2 more.
So this is my first time dealing with a wildfire so close to home, so this might be a dumb question, but the red outline on the map, the 2.2 whatever acres, is that active fire? Like that is currently on fire? Is that just the parts that have been affected and sometimes it's smaller, sometimes it's bigger?
This is the second time I've fielded that question here, which is the only 2 times I've ever fielded it in my career. So the red line on the map is the perimeter of the fire. That's everything that's burned to date. Along that perimeter, that's not all active fire. And that's going to come and go depending on the specific weather of any given day. So like yesterday, when asked that question, I said about 50%, a little bit less, of that perimeter in scattered areas was active. Today, I would say that was probably 70 to 75% of that perimeter. So does that help answer your question?
All right, we'll do 1 more.
Thank you. I heard that you were talking that the fire was passing underneath the transmission lines, and I was just wondering if there was any risk of power outages in town.
Currently the, can you hear me? There we go. Sorry. All right. So currently the fire behavior that we're seeing pass under the transmission is pretty low intensity. If you guys have been out there, you've looked up that corridor where the transmissions are, they've done some clearing under that, so that helps a bunch. There is still fuel under there, which is allowing the fire to come underneath, but it's not a high intensity. It's not that crown fire that you would see if it was on either side. And we're not seeing that on either side anyway. Most of the fire we're seeing up there is ground fire. And so that is where we've been using those helicopters the last couple of days so that we can keep that fire intensity down and try not to damage those transmission lines.
And I think the thing that I want to leave you with before we get to the question and answers, because I know that's important, everybody wants to do that, is that we well understand what's going on here. And we understand not just, the situation, why there's smoke in the air, why there's fire out there, but we understand how this touches each and every one of you, each and every agency, each and every member of the public. A little bit different to everybody, but it does touch everybody. It affects multiple things. So we totally understand that. You know, we're doing our best to bring a resolve to the incident just as fast as we can. And we understand that, you know, we'll have our time here on the fire, and then this incident management team will go. There will be firefighters here, you know, for some time, you know, and that's something that we really want to ingrain in you. You're going to see smoke on the hill for a while. We talked about those conditions. So there is going to be fire out there at different levels for a bit. So you're going to have firefighters here for a while. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that we're going to be here a week or 7 days or whatever that is. You know, you have to understand the reality that there's going to be some fire on the landscape for a bit. So everybody's committed to continuing to manage that situation. We understand how impactful that is, and our team, with our time here, we'll do our best while we're here. I'll pledge you that. And you're in very good hands with the people that are here after we leave. So thank you again.
Thanks for that report. In other Willow Fire news, yesterday the Leadville Ranger District closed the Halfmoon area. Here is that announcement brought to you by text-to-speech AI technology.
Effective immediately, the U.S. Forest Service Leadville Ranger District has ordered a closure of Halfmoon Road and its camping areas, up to Champion Campgrounds until further notice. Please note, this road closure is out of an abundance of caution leading into a holiday weekend. There are no evacuation warnings or orders for the area. If you're currently camping at Halfmoon, please respect our search and rescue crews as they have volunteered their time to ensure the area is clear of humans. If you are planning a camping trip, we encourage you to explore dispersed camping options in Twin Lakes or in neighboring counties, including Chaffee County and Summit County. Thank you for your patience and understanding as we work to keep our residents, firefighters, visitors, and public land safe. We look forward to welcoming you back soon. Remember, all land within Lake County is under Stage 2 fire restrictions. No campfires allowed.
Thanks for that report. Up next is the weather. Today's forecast from the National Weather Service calls for widespread smoke, mainly after 3 p.m. Skies will be sunny, with a high near 71. Light southwest winds becoming west at 10 to 15 miles per hour in the morning. Tonight's forecast calls for widespread smoke, mainly before 8 p.m. Mostly clear skies, with a low around 38. West winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour becoming light and variable in the evening. That wraps up today's report. Thanks for checking in to Planet Leadville.